After listening to Lord Krishna's profound explanation of the true nature of the self in the previous section, Arjuna finds himself grappling with new doubts. Seeking further clarity, he turns to Krishna and begins to speak. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, if your belief is that knowledge is superior to action, then why do you engage me in this dreadful act of battle? With these apparently contradictory words, you seem to confuse my understanding. Therefore tell me definitely that one thing by which I shall reach the highest goal." The blessed Lord said, "O sinless Arjuna, in ancient times I described two spiritual paths, Jnana Yoga for those who follow the path of knowledge, and Karma Yoga for those who follow the path of action. One cannot achieve freedom from karmic reactions merely by abstaining from work, nor can one attain perfection of knowledge through mere physical renunciation. No one can live even for a moment without doing work. Everyone without his will is made to do work by the qualities born of Prakriti. The man of deluded understanding who restraining the organs of the action sits contemplating the sense objects with the mind is called a hypocrite. 3.6. But, O Arjuna, the one who controls the senses with the mind and begins the practice of Karma Yoga through actions without attachment is the best. Performing duties prescribed by the sastras is essential and superior to inaction. Without action, even basic self-maintenance becomes impossible. The sastras guide righteous actions, ensuring survival and well-being. Therefore, fulfilling these duties is crucial for a meaningful life. O Arjuna, actions that are not performed as a form of sacrifice, yajna, lead to entanglement in the material world. Therefore, you should carry out your duties as sacrifices, without any attachment to the outcomes. By doing so, you will avoid the bondage of karma and move towards spiritual liberation. By performing yajna, humans offer their devotion and resources to the gods. In return, the gods, pleased by these offerings, provide blessings, prosperity, and sustenance to humans. This mutual nourishment creates a harmonious balance, where both humans and gods support each other. Through this continuous cycle of giving and receiving, both parties thrive, leading to the attainment of the highest good or spiritual fulfillment. Nourish the gods with this sacrifice, and may the gods nourish you. By supporting one another in this way, you shall attain the highest good. The gods, nourished by sacrifice, will bestow upon you the desired necessities of life. But one who enjoys these gifts without offering them back to the gods is verily a thief. The righteous who offer food to the gods in sacrifice and eat the remnants are freed from all sins. But those who cook food to satisfy their own needs are sinners and verily eat sin. Beings are born of food, food is produced from rain arises from yajna, yajna is born of action arises from Vedas, Vedas are born from the imperishable Paramatma. Therefore know that the Supreme Being is established in the yajna. The man who does not adhere to the divine cycle of duties and sacrifices, as established by the Creator, is considered a sinner. He indulges in fleeting sense pleasures, neglecting his responsibilities and the greater good. By ignoring this sacred cycle, he fails to contribute to the harmony and balance of the world, ultimately leading a life devoid of true purpose and meaning. But he who finds joy and contentment within himself, who derives happiness solely from the Atma, the true self, is truly fulfilled. Such a person is not dependent on external actions or achievements for his sense of well-being. He is self-sufficient and serene, having transcended the need for worldly duties and responsibilities. In this state of inner peace and self-realization, he has no obligatory work to perform, as he is already in harmony with the ultimate truth. For such a person, there is no interest or attachment to the outcomes of any actions, whether performed or not. He remains unaffected by the results of work, finding no personal gain or loss in them. This individual is entirely self-reliant and does not depend on anyone or anything for his needs or desires. His contentment and fulfillment come from within, independent of external circumstances or possessions. Therefore that work which should be done, do it well always without attachment. He who performs all the prescribed duties in a detached spirit will attain the Supreme. King Janaka and other wise leaders attain spiritual perfection and enlightenment through their dedicated actions and righteous deeds. Their lives serve as exemplary models, demonstrating that one can achieve the highest state of being through diligent work. When a great person acts, others tend to follow his example. His actions set a standard that people look up to and try to imitate. Essentially, the behavior and choices of influential individuals shape the actions and values of the broader community, guiding them towards similar paths. I have no obligations or duties in any of the three worlds, and there is nothing I need to achieve or gain. Despite this, I still engage in work and perform my duties. O Arjuna, if I do not remain constantly engaged in action without taking any breaks, people will follow my example in every aspect. They will imitate my behavior, thinking it is the right way to live. If I do not fulfill my duties, these worlds would face destruction. I would be responsible for the confusion among species and the annihilation of these beings, leading to chaos and disorder. O Arjuna, just as ignorant men perform their duties with attachment to the results, the wise should also engage in action, but without attachment, for the greater good and welfare of the world. The wise man should not disturb and confuse the minds of the ignorant attached to action. By performing all actions with yogic equanimity, they should make the ignorant do accordingly. Actions are carried out in all situations due to the inherent qualities of nature, but a person whose mind is clouded by egoism mistakenly believes, I am the one performing these actions. A person who has true knowledge understands the distinction between the body, the senses, and their functions. Such a person recognizes that it is the modes of nature, gunas, that interact with each other, and therefore they do not become attached to these actions. Those who are deluded by the qualities, gunas, of nature become attached to the results of their actions. However, the wise, who understand these truths, should not unsettle the minds of the ignorant who are attached to their actions. Renouncing all actions in me with the mind fixed in self, free from hope and egoism, fight without mental agitation. Those men who, with faith and free from ill will, practice this my teaching, are also freed from the bondage of action. But those who carp at my teaching and do not practice it, know them as men deluded in all knowledge, devoid of discrimination and doomed to destruction. Even a wise man acts in accordance with his inherent nature. All beings are guided by their natural tendencies. Therefore, what can mere restraint achieve in altering this fundamental truth? In each of the senses reside both attraction and repulsion towards the objects they perceive. One should not fall under their influence, as these forces are considered man's enemies. One's own duty, ill-performed and without merit, is better than the duty of another well discharged. Better is death in discharging one's own duty. Another's duty is fraught with fear. Arjuna asked, O Krishna, what compels a person to commit sin, even when they do not wish to, as if driven by some force? The blessed Lord said, it is desire and anger, arising from Rajaguna, the impulse of action, that are all-consuming and entirely destructive. Recognize these as the true enemies here. Just as fire is covered by smoke, a mirror by dust, and an embryo by the amnion, so too is the knowledge of the self obscured by desire, karma, and anger, krodha. O Arjuna, the understanding of one's true self is often hidden by a relentless enemy that even the wise struggle with. This enemy is desire, karma, which is never satisfied and burns endlessly like a fire. It clouds our judgment and keeps us from seeing our true nature. The senses, the mind, and the intellect are where desire, karma, resides. When desire operates through these faculties, it confuses and misleads the individual by obscuring their wisdom. This makes it difficult for them to see the truth and understand their true nature. O Arjuna, therefore, from the very start, you must take control of your senses. By doing so, you can conquer this desire, karma, which is sinful and destroys both knowledge and self-realization. Desire is a powerful enemy that clouds your wisdom and prevents you from understanding your true self. By mastering your senses, you can overcome this obstacle and achieve true enlightenment. They say that the senses are more refined and powerful than the physical body. However, the mind is even more superior and controls the senses. Beyond the mind is the intellect, which is higher and more discerning. But above all these, the highest is the Atman, the true self or soul, which surpasses the intellect in its purity and wisdom. O mighty armed Arjuna, now that you understand that the Atman, the true self, is greater than the intellect, use this knowledge to control your mind with your intellect. By doing so, you can conquer the enemy in the form of desire, karma, which is indeed very difficult to overcome. Remember, desire is a powerful force that clouds your judgment and hinders your path to self-realization. But with the strength of your intellect and the wisdom of knowing your true self, you can defeat this formidable foe.